What's going on, everyone? So, welcome to Derry. I'm very excited for this upcoming It series. It's set to release October 26th, 2025. So, we're, 10 days at the time of this video uploading, depending on when you're watching this, maybe even sooner to the actual release of this. We got the kind of final kind of red band trailer, all of that. Looks great. Right? I'm really excited to kind of see, kind of got, a nice little, they got a little tune going on. We got some new images of Pennywise and, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. And, this is something that is going to be a 3-part series, right? We know that this is going to be having at least 3 seasons, and each season is going to have and be a different year. They even teased that a little while ago. But got a couple details about the upcoming Welcome to Derry that I want to go over. I want to touch on some of those details, and then, of course, just have a general conversation on things that we're looking forward to, as well as kind of the things that I am excited for. Because I am a big fan of turning these iconic horror franchises into series. Right? You can usually get away with a little more. You usually can do a little more. You don't have to rush to the level that you would for a movie. Right? It's easier to, flush out and get everything you need done in 8 hours as opposed to, an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, even 2.5 hours. Right? And I mean, you think of like the It films, they're, 4 to 5 hours. So, you're basically going to be able to now take everything from one film and really kind of spread it out, as opposed to 2.5 hours, be able to spread it out to 8 hours, as I mentioned. So I am really excited for that, and then also the new images. But diving into kind of some of the details that we got for this upcoming It. So this is from Variety. The goal is to raise the bar higher in terms of shock value, which I think is interesting. We'll touch on this stuff here in a moment. But again, goal is to raise the bar higher in terms of shock value. They're planning 3 seasons, as I mentioned. That was basically announced from the beginning, so that shouldn't be a surprise. Each goes further back in time. Season 2 is set in 1935. So the plan is, this is supposed to be a history of Pennywise. So you're supposed to get all the way back to the origins and start of this. You know what this kind of reminds me of is, do you remember the first Fear Street on Netflix? Right, where each one was a different year, and the final film kind of tied in, and you went back in time, and then you jumped back to, like, whatever it was, the 90s and stuff. Right, that's kind of what it feels like they're gonna do with this upcoming Welcome to Derry, which I'm all for. Inspired by the novel's interludes, which explore Derry's horrific history. So a couple things, right? One, I'm excited to further dive into the history and lore of, Pennywise and the town of Derry and all that. I mean, look, Pennywise, and you have what is it, Matherin, and like, you have this entire history and story of, like, basically all of creation and all, like, the Dark Towers, and the turtle, and then Pennywise, and they're these deities, these creatures that were before time, and all, like, it's just, there's so much you could dive into with the world of it, and just that Dark Towers universe, that I am really excited to kind of see how far do they go into and making connections and stuff. Because if this has success and this does well, that could spawn and create all these other little branches and other series and stuff that you could tie things together, right? So I think that there is a real opportunity here, which is why I'm a fan of, like, turning these iconic franchises into series. This, and then the Friday the 13th, and or not Friday the 13th, but Camp Crystal Lake, Jason, because can't really use that, but you get the point, right? Like, I'm excited to see kind of how this all plays out, because if these start to have success, again, that spawns the possibility for other series, Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street, and like I mentioned, you think of the It universe and everything that ties into the Dark Tower. There's so many different options and possibilities and ways you could go, like, and tell stories and things like that. So I really am excited to kind of see this, and how much they go into, and how far back and whatnot. Do they really dive into the lore and the history of it? And then, as far as, like, raising the bar, I look at the classic It film, and then the more recent one. The modern take was a, it was a more kind of, it was more modern, right? It was darker, it was more brutal, there was more gore to it. You had the 2017, and then what, chapter 2 came out in 2019. Like, so you had like the mini series, that I love. I think that one was better storytelling wise, right? Like if you want to compare like the 1991, right, with Tim Curry as Pennywise, I thought that one was better storytelling. I thought that one, as far as, it went into a little more things and details that the other one didn't, right? But the other one was more brutal. It was more dark. It was more, gory, right? Like it had better scares and stuff like that, right? Like, don't get me wrong, in the 90s, that It was still fantastic, but it was more of a modern take on it. It was faster paced, where the original, the 1991 was much slower, right? And because it was trying to tell the story and kind of build on it a little more, right? And I mean, look, there's all kinds of things that happen in the book that we've still never seen on film, right? So there's a lot of things that they could explore and dive into. So I am really excited to kind of see how do they approach this, and how much do they go into. But as far as raising the bar goes, like, I hope that isn't just with the gore and the scares, right? I'd love a perfect blend. I would love elements of 90 with elements of, 2017, where you get the dark, brutal, over the top, scares and horrors, but you also get some of that storytelling, and it's paced. And, I don't mind things being slower paced, and if it serves a point and a purpose. Like, nothing's worse when a film or a series or something gets dragged out and you're like, you could have cut all of, like, none of this mattered, right? I don't mind, even if there's an episode just dedicated where you don't really get any gore or any like major horrors or anything. It's just storytelling. I'm a fan of storytelling. I want to hear the stories. I want you to break down the stories. I want you to explain the story, right? But it has to have purpose. It has to have a reason, right? If you're just, if you can't find that common ground, the commonality, then just go lean fully into horror, right? Make it as scary and terrifying as possible. But if you can find that proper balance, which it seems like the plan is to tell the story. It seems like the plan is to really build, Pennywise and just the history of Derry and all that stuff. So it does seem like the intention is to go the scary route, the horror route, but also the storytelling route. And if they can find that balance, I think this is huge for just, fans of the franchise, and, people that are being introduced to the franchise through this series, and, all those in between, and those that, maybe, just, this is kind of like the first thing, maybe never saw the past ones, right? Like, I'm excited for this. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.